canto Bhagavatam. Ishanukatha means the pastimes or the stories of the Supreme Lord and also his devotees and also the Lord's incarnations. So this is Ishanukatha. So in the 9th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, we find several stories, the description of several kings and also incarnations and sages. And we have completed a description of the several kings appeared in the Sun dynasty up to the 13th chapter. From the 14th chapter, Sukadeva Goswami is beginning a description of the Moon dynasty. First he says, the universe, the first personality in this universe was none other than the Supreme Lord in the form of Garbhodaka Sai Vishnu. From the navel of Garbhodaka Sai Vishnu, the universal lotus sprouted, and within that universal lotus, Lord Brahma has taken birth. He has appeared. And Brahma has continued his creation. And some of the personalities that Brahma has created in the beginning were the 4 Kumaras. And later he has also created several sages. And one of the sages was Atri Muni. So this Atri Muni married Anasuya. And Atri and Anasuya performed several austerities. For about 100 years, they performed austerities. And their performance of austerities and all was described in the first chapter of the 4th canto of Bhagavatam. In the 4th canto, first chapter, we see that Atri and Anasuya, they perform several austerities, and especially Atri wanted a son who is Jagadishvara, means the Lord of the universe. Jagadishvara means Jagat Ishvara, the Lord of the universe. So the Jagadishvara, may that become my son. Right? I want the Jagadishvara as my son. With that desire, he performed austerities. So after performing austerities for several years, 3 personalities came in front of Atri. They are Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. Then Atri said that I called for one person, the Lord of the universe, Jagadishvara. How come 3 people appeared in front of me? So he was a bit surprised. Whom did I call amongst you? Who is the Jagadishvara? Then Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. So Brahma came on his swan carrier. Then Shiva came on this bull carrier. And Lord Vishnu came on the Garuda, the eagle carrier. So all of them said that we all are Jagadishwaras. All of us are Jagadishwaras. We are all lords of the universe. So these 3 are Gunavataras. They are the in charges of mode of passion, ignorance, and goodness. And Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva, all 3 said we all are Jagadishvara. So because you do not call a specific person, you just called a person who is the Lord of the universe. All 3 are lords. So we have come. Then Atri, basically, he did not have the understanding of who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He understood that there must be some Supreme Person within the universe. But who amongst these 3 main deities, Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva, is the Supreme, he could not understand. He doesn't know the identity. So without knowing the identity of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, without understanding the superiority of Lord Vishnu over Brahma and Shiva, Atri has performed some austerities. So all 3 personalities came. Of course, this is also a part of the transcendental pastime of the Lord. So then they said, all 3 of us will become your sons. He wanted the son, right? So all 3 of us will become your sons. So then a partial expansion of Lord Vishnu appeared as the son of Atri, and his name was Dattatreya. And a partial expansion of Brahma appeared from Atri, and his name is Durvasa. And Brahma's partial expansion also appeared from Atri and Anasuya. His name is Soma, and that's the birth of Soma. So this is the Soma dynasty. So first Garbhodaka Sai Vishnu, next Brahma, next Atri, next Soma. And from Soma, you have many other personalities coming up, all the way up to Yadu. And in the Yadu dynasty, you will find, in the Soma dynasty, you will find Pururava, then Yadu, then in between there are several other personalities, and finally Krishna appears in this Soma dynasty, Soma Vamsha, Chandra Vamsha. So this Soma dynasty is so glorious because Krishna has appeared in this dynasty. Okay. So now, although Atri does not know the identity of the Lord. Nevertheless, he performed some sadhana to have the Lord uh, as his son. So he appeared. Now we see there are several examples where some devotees want the Lord to appear as their son. In the fifth canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, third chapter, there was a great king named Nabhi. This Nabhi Maharaj also wanted the Supreme Personality of Godhead to appear as his son, Nabhi Maharaj. Of course, he did not have any confusion about the Lord's identity. He worshipped Lord Vishnu only. He appointed some priests, and the priests performed some sacrifice, and the Lord appeared on the back of Garuda. And Nabhi said, "My dear Lord, I wanted a son who is as good as you." Not exactly the Lord. "I want a son who is as good as you." Then the Lord said, "There is no one as good as me. I am Asamordhva. There is no one equal to me. There is no one superior to me. I will only become your son." So the Lord appeared as Rishabhadev, as the son of Nabhi Maharaj. And another example, Gajendra. Gajendra, he was caught by this crocodile, and Gajendra tried to relieve himself from that crocodile's jaws for 1,000 years. No one has come to save him. All the elephants who were sitting on the shore of that ocean, that river, or lake. So they had concern for Gajendra, but they did not have the ability. They did not have the capacity to protect Gajendra. So Gajendra thought there must be some person who has the ability to protect me. So let me offer my prayers to him, to whomsoever it may concern. I offer this prayer. So let him come and protect me. And he offered prayers. So Gajendra also offered a prayer without knowing who is that supreme person. But the Lord nevertheless came and blessed Gajendra. Okay. And Atri also offered a prayer and performed austerities without exactly knowing who is that supreme personality of Godhead. Gajendra did not take specific name: Krishna, Rama, Varaha, Vamana, Narasimha, Krishna. He did not take any name, but still the Lord appeared. So directly or indirectly, if someone offers a prayer to the Lord shows some mercy on that person. So the Lord appeared as Dattatreya, as the son of Atri, and also Soma also came as a partial expansion of Lord Brahma. So there are a few examples. Now coming back to the other part. So here Atri wanted Jagadishwara as his son, and Nabhi also wanted someone who is as good as the Supreme Personality of Godhead as his son. And you see Dhara and Drona, Prishni, Sutapa, they also wanted the Lord as their son. So in the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd chapter, Sukadeva Goswami describes about the austerities of Dhara and Drona, who wanted the Supreme Lord to appear as their son. So Prabhupada makes a very interesting statement there. The 10th canto, 3rd chapter purports. He says that instead of doing some austerities and bringing the Supreme Personality of Godhead to this material world, better you perform devotional service and go to his supreme planet, his spiritual abode. Right? So of course there are other ways of looking at it also. Prabhupada says just perform bhakti and then go back to Godhead. But devotees sometimes pray for the appearance of the Lord in this material world so that he can reclaim all the conditioned souls and take them back to Godhead, so that the Supreme Lord can come here and perform such enchanting pastimes and create subject matter for our discussion and purify us through the process of Sravanam, Kirtanam and all. So there are multiple reasons for the Lord's appearance, right? So the Lord appears to bless his devotees, to do prema rasa aswadan, to relish the nectarian loving affection of his devotees, and also Raga Marga Bhakti Pracharan, also wanted to spread the process of pure devotional service and perform various pastimes, right? So in the Lord appears for multiple purposes. So from the conditioned soul's perspective, the Lord Lord's appearance is very beneficial for the conditioned soul, because the conditioned soul gets an opportunity to understand the pastimes of the Lord and then try to reconnect with him in loving devotional service. So here the moon dynasty is so glorious because the Supreme Lord Krishna personally appears in this moon dynasty. In uh, in the prayers of Queen Kunti, Kunti Maharani gives several reasons for Krishna's appearance. Right? केचिदाहुरजं जातं पुण्यश्लोकाय कीर्तये यदोह प्रियस्यान्ववाये मलयस्येव चन्दनं केचिदाहुरजं जातं. Some people say that the unborn Lord takes birth in this material world, in this earthly planet sometimes, right? Kechidahurajam jatam punya shlokaya kirtaye. One reason is to glorify good personalities, pious kings, right? And yadoho priyasya anvavaye. And the Lord also appeared to bless his dear devotee Yadu. And how did he appear in the Yadu dynasty? Malayasya iva chandanam. Just like in the Malaya hills, sandalwood appears and then increases the fame and glory of that Malaya hills. Similarly, the Supreme Lord also appears in this Yadu dynasty to increase the name and fame and glory of the Yadu dynasty. So these are some of the reasons to bless Yadu Maharaj and Yadu dynasty, and to also spread the glories of pious kings like Yudhishthir and others. The Lord appears. And there are many other reasons why the Lord appears. Krishna appears uh, to fulfill the desires and reciprocate with the love and affection and reciprocate with the prayers of Devaki and Vasudeva. And he also appears to reduce the burden of the earth. And he also appears to protect his devotees living in this earthly planet. And he also appears to annihilate the miscreants who are troubling virtuous devotees. And he also appears in response to the prayers offered by Lord Brahma, because Brahma came on the bank of Kshirasagar, on the milk ocean, and prayed to the Lord, "My dear Lord, please appear in this planet and reduce the burden of the earth. Mother Earth is overburdened by so many unscrupulous kings who are actually demoniac, but they're playing in playing the roles of administrators. They are burdening the earth. Please reduce that burden." And also, Krishna ultimately appears to spread the path of devotional service and spread the whole process of Shravana Smaranarhani Karishyat Indikechana, to spread the process of hearing, chanting, and remembering Krishna, and that is to spread the process of bhakti and give an opportunity to perform devotional service to conditioned souls and then go back to Godhead. Right. So these are various reasons, and even in Bhagavad Gita also Krishna personally gives reasons. Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkritam dharma samsthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. So paritranaya sadhunam, to protect sadhus, means virtuous devotees. Vinashaya cha dushkritam, to also annihilate the miscreants. Dharma samsthapanarthaya, to also establish dharma. Krishna appears, right? These are various reasons why Krishna appears. So it's great fortune for the conditioned souls to have the Supreme Lord Krishna once in a while appearing on this planet to perform his pastime and attract our attention to his loving pastimes and giving us an opportunity to develop some love for him and then reconnect with him. Right. So there's one nice shloka in Mukundamala Stotra. The shloka says, Bhakta Bhujanga Garudamani Trailokya Rakshamani Gopi Lochana Chatakam Budamani Saundarya Mudramani Yah Kantamani Rukmini Ghanakucha Dvandvaika Bhushamani Shreyo Devasikhamani Dishatuno Gopala Chudamani. Bhaktapaya Bhujanga Garudamani. The Supreme Lord Krishna appears as a very beautiful, shining blue sapphire, nice gem, on the back of Garuda. Bhaktapaya Bhujanga Garuda Mani. Garuda means this Garuda. He looks like a big golden mountain, and the Lord appears like a nice, shining blue sapphire on top of that golden mountain. Bhaktapaya Bhujanga Garuda Mani. Trailokya Rakshamani. And while appearing like this, the Lord protects all his devotees in all the three worlds, three planetary systems. Trailokya Rakshamani. So the Lord comes to this material world to protect all his devotees. Gopi lochana chatakam budamani saundarya mudramani. The Lord is also Saundarya Mudramani. He is such abode of all beauty, Saundarya Sangraham, Sarva Saundarya Sangraham, that he appears like a gem like cloud that can give so much of encouragement and happiness to the gopis' eyes. The eyes of the gopis are compared with Chataka birds, and Krishna is compared with a blue cloud, monsoon cloud. So Chataka birds don't drink water from well or tap or even Ganga or Yamuna river or some other nice water reservoir. They drink water only from the clouds directly, right? So Krishna appears like that blue cloud that can give pleasure to the Chataka bird-like eyes of the gopis. Okay, so Krishna may appear in hundreds and thousands of forms. Like so many Narayana forms are there, many other incarnations are there. There are Purushavasaras, Gurnavataras, Leelavataras, Manvantara Yuga Avataras, Shiktavesha Avataras. So many avatars are there, but the gopis are excited only with Krishna's form, not any other avatars. So once the gopis were searching for Krishna, and they saw Narayana. Okay, Narayana was seen there with his four hands, holding all the Shankha Chakra Gada Padma. And the gopis said, "Oh, Narayana, Dandavats, we offer our respectful obeisances unto you. Did you see Krishna anywhere?" So, like that, the gopis are always looking forward to see Krishna only, they're not excited with any other form. So, Gopi Lochana Chatakam Buddhamani Saundarya Mudramani. Yah Kantamani Rukmini Ghanakucha Dvandvaika Bhushamani. And Krishna also appears as a most precious shining gem on the heart of Rukmini Devi. And she herself was Kantamani, the crest jewel of all the queens of Krishna in Dwaraka. Yeah, Kantamani Rukmini Ghanakucha Dvandvaika Bhushamani. Shreyo Devasikhamani Rdishatuno Gopala Chudamani. So Krishna, may that Gopala Chudamani, the crest jewel of all cowherd community, be our protector. Right. So there are so many details in this shloka, but why I quoted this shloka is the main first line, where Krishna appears in this world to protect all the devotees from all calamities. Right. So Krishna is the supreme protector. There is another shloka also. Krishna rakshatu no jagatraya guro Krishnam namadham sada Krishnena khila shatravo vinihita Krishnaya tasmai namah Krishnadev samuthitam jagadidam Krishnasya dasosmyaham Krishne tishtati vishvametadakhilam He Krishna rakshasvamam Krishna rakshatu no jagatraya guru. So let that Krishna, Supreme Lord Krishna, protect us. He is Jagatraya Guru. He is the supreme spiritual master of all the three worlds. Krishna rakshatu no Jagatraya Guru. Krishnam namadham sada. Let me always offer obeisances to Krishna. Krishnena khila shatravo vinihita. Krishnaya tasmai namah. It is only Krishna who can completely destroy all our shatrus. Who are our shatrus? One may say, he is my enemy, she is my enemy, that person is my enemy, this person is my enemy. The real enemies are there within. They are lust, envy, pride, greed. These are the real enemies within us. Krishne na khila shatravo vinihita. So if we invite Krishna into our hearts, through our ear holes, Krishna will enter the hearts and remove all the contamination in the hearts. Right? So Krishne na khila shatravo vinihita. Krishnaya tasmai namah. Let me offer obeisances only unto Krishna. So there is one Bhagavatam shloka. Pravishtaha karana randhrena svanam bhavasaroruham dhunoti shamalam Krishna salilasya yathasharat. So Krishna enters into the ear holes of his devotees. And when we hear Srimad Bhagavatam, through the sound vibration of Srimad Bhagavatam, Krishna personally enters, because Krishna is not different from the sound vibration of Bhagavatam. So Krishna enters the ear holes and enters the hearts of devotees sits on the lotus hearts of the devotees and removes all the contamination there. Pravishtaha karnarandhrena svanam bhavasaroruham dhunoti shavalam Krishna. Salilasya yathasarat. He will completely remove all the mala, contamination. Right? So Krishnena akhila shatravo vinihitaha. Krishnaya tasmai namah. Krishna deva samuthitam jagatidam. Krishnasya dasosmyaham. Krishna deva samuthitam jagadidam means entire universe has come out of Krishna only. So far in the first two lines we have seen how Krishna is the maintainer of the universe. In this third line we are seeing how Krishna is the creator of the universe. Krishna deva samuthitam jagadidam Krishnasya dasosmyaham. So it is Krishna who is the source of the entire universe. Krishnasya dasosmyaham. Let us admit that we are all servants of Krishna. We are servants of Krishna. That's our real identity. Krishna Jivera Swarupohai Krishna Nitya Das. Okay, Gopi Bharturu Padakamalayor Dasa Das Dasanu Dasa. That's our identity. So let us understand that we are servants of Krishna. Krishnasya dasosmyaham. Krishne tishtati vishvameta dakhilam. Hey Krishna rakshasvamam. This last line describes how Krishna is the annihilator of the universe also. So first two lines described how Krishna is the maintainer. Next line described how Krishna is the creator. Now Krishna is the destroyer also. When entire universe is destroyed, entire universe will be withdrawn back into the body of Krishna's expansion Mahavishnu. Thus Krishna creates the universe, maintains the universe, and annihilates the universe. So Krishna is everything. Aham sarvasya prabhavo mataha sarvam pravartati. So he is everything. One who understands that Krishna is everything will surrender to Krishna, will receive all protection from Krishna. So Krishna appeared in this wonderful moon dynasty, and Krishna performed so many enchanting pastimes, and Krishna protects all his devotees. So especially the pastimes that Krishna performs in the Vrindavan is they are very enchanting. Are you able to hear me? Is the wind in the background and Zoom's noise? Okay. Very hard to hear.
That was initially when you were chanting Mangalacharan. Now we are able.
Fine. Okay, it's 5:20. Prabhu, should I continue or should we end now? Any questions or comments?
Request devotees, if they have any questions or comments, please share. Otherwise, Prabhu can continue.
Okay, fine. So Krishna appears in this world for multiple reasons, as we have discussed. But ultimately, Krishna's appearances are for some official purposes and some personal purposes also. So Krishna wants to have very personal, loving reciprocations with his devotees. At the same time, Krishna also wants to spread the process of bhakti yoga and inspire devotees, inspire the living entities in this world to perform bhakti and then come back to him. So in Krishna's manifest pastimes on this earthly planet, Krishna performed pastimes at several places. Initially in Vrindavan, then Mathura, then Dwarka, then Hastinapur, then Kundinapur, then Ayodhya, then sometimes heavenly planets he goes, sometimes he goes to lower planets, sometimes he goes to Mahavishnu Loka. Like that, Krishna performed several pastimes at several places in this world. Now, of all these pastimes, the pastimes that Krishna performs in Vrindavan are the most enchanting pastimes. There are 12 cantos in Bhagavatam. Of the 10th canto describes Krishna's pastimes in Vrindavan, the first half of 10th canto. So Krishna performed pastimes about 125 years in this world, and Krishna's pastimes in 10th canto, Krishna's pastimes in Vrindavan are about a decade, right? So the pastimes that Krishna performed for about a decade are described in more than uh, half of the 10th canto of Bhagavatam. About 40 chapters, 39, 40 chapters are describing exclusively Krishna's Vrindavan pastimes. They are the most enchanting pastimes. So uh, Krishna enters Vrindavan forest early in the morning. Mother Yashoda very nicely decorates Krishna and packs his lunch bag, and Krishna enters. As Krishna enters Vrindavan, he performs his divine pastime of playing his flute. And Krishna is expert in playing his flute that he blends his flute song so expertly with the natural sounds of Vrindavan. Now the wind is blowing, breeze is coming behind me. So when Krishna is entering Vrindavan, birds are chirping, the trees are blowing, okay, and the trees are like moving, and the wind is just blowing, and the cows are also making their natural sounds, and also the sweet fragrance of lotus flowers that are blooming in the water reservoirs of Vrindavan, that is just coming. So Krishna blends his sweet flute song with the natural sounds of Vrindavan. That is so enchanting to the ears, and Krishna's beautiful darshan is enchanting to the eyes. And also Krishna's the bodily fragrance is mixed with all these natural fragrances of Vrindavan. That is so enchanting to the ears. Like that, just by seeing the beautiful form of Krishna in Vrindavan, all of one's senses are completely satisfied. Sarvendriya Gunanjanam. All of one's senses are completely satisfied. So Krishna thus enters the forest of Vrindavan, and throughout the day he performs his mm, pastimes with the Sakya devotees, and also the Shanta Bhaktas also get his association throughout the day. Okay. So now Krishna comes back. Now, because all the Gopas and Gopas are very happily playing with Krishna, and all the cows are also associating with Krishna, and the bank of Yamuna and the Kadamba trees, and all of them are having very nice time with Krishna. So that's Shanta Bhaktas and Sakya Bhaktas are getting their quota of Krishna's association. Okay. So when Krishna comes back to Vrindavan, from the forest to the village, then the Vatsalya Bhaktas are waiting to receive Krishna. Mother Yashoda and all the motherly gopis and Rohini Mata and Nanda Maharaj, they're waiting at the house to receive Krishna. And then Mother Yashoda would bathe Krishna and then dress Krishna, decorate Krishna, feed Krishna, make him sleep. So she does her services. And also the Dasya Bhaktas like Raktaka, Patraka, Chitraka, these three are house servants of Nanda Maharaj. They are also waiting for Krishna to come back from pasturing ground so that they can do their services. So like that, the Sakya Bhaktas and Vatsalya Bhaktas get their quota of association of Krishna there. Then Krishna, when he is going into the forest and coming back from the forest, on the way he sees the Madhurya Bhaktas, all the younger gopis. They would just glance at Krishna, and Krishna also showers his loving glances upon them, and he would have such wonderful reciprocations with them through glances only. So like that, all these devotees of these five rasas would get their quota of association with Krishna at different parts of the day. And during the other parts of the day, they are longing for Krishna's association. When will I see Krishna next? Okay. Throughout the day, Mother Yashoda and all the gopis who are staying back in the village of Vrindavan are thinking about Krishna, and they are waiting for the moment when will Krishna come back. And all the Madhurya gopis also, and Vatsalya gopis also, and others. Now, throughout the night, the Gopas, the friends of Krishna, they are longing. When can we meet Krishna? Sometimes these Gopas would get up in the middle of the night. They would come to Mother Yashoda and they would just bang the door of Mother Yashoda, and they would say, Krishna, come, let's go to the forest. Take your lunch bag, take your stick, take your ropes. Mother Yashoda would just come out and then say, what's happening? It's the middle of the night. This is not the time to go to the forest. Go and sleep and get up tomorrow early morning and then come. Then I'll send Krishna. Like that, Mother Yashoda would send them back. And early in the morning, when Mother Yashoda is sending Krishna and all the gopas and cows to the forest, then she would uh, just call Krishna back. Krishna, please come back. Krishna says, what happened? Then I didn't tie your waist belt properly. Let me just tighten it nicely. Okay. Then Krishna would just go ahead. Then after that, she would again call Krishna. Krishna, stop, stop. And then she would move ahead, and then she would say, I didn't tuck your peacock feather properly in your turban. So like that, and again Krishna proceeds. And again Mother Yashoda says, hey, did you take that a special sweet that I have packed for your lunch? Then Krishna would say that, Mother Yashoda, are you coming with me to the forest or what? Please go. In the name of seeing me off, you are just following me. Mother Yashoda would just stand there till the last speck of dust settles down as Krishna and the cows are entering into the forest. So like that, all the gopas are, all the Vrajavasis are longing for Krishna's association in his absence. Now, Krishna performed such leelas with all these devotees in Vrindavan. And sometimes Krishna would also gather all the devotees from all the rasas at one place and give them his association simultaneously. Some of such incidents are when Krishna was dancing on the hoods of Kaliya. Actually, when Krishna was arrested by the coils of Kaliya, all the Vrajavasis got their message through some quote unquote bad omens. They thought that Krishna must be in danger. They all followed the footprints of Krishna and they have come to the bank of Kaliya lake, and they saw Krishna. Krishna was arrested in that coils of Kaliya, and then Krishna just jumped on the hoods of Kaliya and then danced and then came down and came out of Kaliya lake. Then none of the Brajavasis were in a mood to go back to their homes. So all the Brajavasis of all rasas have assembled on the bank of Kaliya lake, and they wanted to spend that whole night there only. So Krishna also could not do much. He said, okay, fine, let's stay here. So nobody had locked their doors. Okay, they were in anxiety. They just came out of anxiety for Krishna, because whenever there is some inauspicious omen, these people will think that something inauspicious has happened to Krishna. Generally, there are some inauspicious signs that we experience in our body or in the nature. We think that something inauspicious is going to happen to us, but they naturally think of Krishna, because that's the natural constitutional position of every pure living entity, to love Krishna more than anything else or anyone else. So they all think of Krishna naturally. So they came here, and now they were not thinking about their homes. They wanted to stay on the banks only. So Krishna gave his association to all the devotees of all rasas simultaneously that night. So another time where Krishna gave his association to the devotees of all rasas together was under Govardhan Leela. When he was performing his Govardhan Leela, he lifted this Govardhan mountain, and under Govardhan, the devotees of all rasas, all the Madhurya Bhaktas, Vatsalya Bhaktas, Sakya Bhaktas, all of them have assembled there and then had such loving reciprocation with Krishna. So Krishna manifests his supreme opulence in creating this material world, maintaining this world, destroying this world, establishing dharma, killing so many demons, and Krishna manifests so much of opulence to perform many other unimaginable, inconceivable tasks. But the highest degree of manifestation of Krishna's inconceivable potency is in reciprocating with the love and affection of his devotees. That's the greatest power of Krishna. That's the supreme opulence of Krishna, to reciprocate with the love of his devotees. That we see repeatedly in this Vrindavan pastimes. Now, when Krishna was standing under Govardhan lifting this mountain, he was facing one side, one direction. And there are devotees who are surrounding Krishna. And that medium-sized hill of Govardhan has expanded so big to accommodate all the Vrajavasis, all the devotees in the entire village under its shelter. So the Govardhan mountain itself is big, and it has expanded also out of ecstasy to accommodate so many people. So all the Vrajavasis are spread under Govardhan, under the full base of Govardhan. Then Krishna is standing in the middle, facing one direction, and there are Vrajavasis around him, far away from him, behind him, left side of him, right side of him. But every single Vrajavasi is having that experience of seeing Krishna face to face right in front of him or her. This is the inconceivable potency of Krishna. Krishna is facing this direction, lifting this Govardhan mountain, and behind some Vrajavasis are there. They are also having the experience of seeing Krishna face to face. And Krishna is looking straight into my eyes. Krishna is reciprocating with love and affection. Krishna is smiling at me only. So this is the supreme opulence of Krishna. And just before Brahma Vimohana Leela also, when Krishna was sitting on the bank of Yamuna, having some nice prasad with many other gopas, they were all sitting in concentric circles and Krishna is right in the middle. There also, although Krishna is in the middle of so many concentric circles, every single gopa, whether he's behind Krishna or in front of Krishna, like 10 circles away from Krishna or 50 circles away from Krishna, all gopas are having this experience of seeing Krishna face to face. And they were feeding Krishna. They are being fed by Krishna. So like that, Krishna exhibits his supreme opulence in reciprocating with his devotees more than in manifesting the creation or winding up the creation or killing the demons or establishing dharma and other things. Okay. And in Rasalila, the supreme manifestation of Krishna's opulence, in Rasalila, Krishna expands himself into millions of Krishnas to dance with millions of gopis. And every single gopi is thinking that Krishna is dancing with me only. And Krishna doesn't even realize this, okay, that he's doing all this. Because he's so absorbed in lovingly reciprocating with all these devotees of Vrindavan. Because of his absorption, he automatically does all these things. Or his energy is automatically arranged for all these things. Now you see, even in Rath Yatra also, Jagannath Rath Yatra, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu expanded himself into 7 forms. There are 7 groups in Jagannath Rath Yatra, led by 7 prominent devotees and other mridanga players, this and that. So Mahaprabhu was dancing in all the 7 groups simultaneously. All the devotees in all the groups are thinking that Mahaprabhu is dancing in my group only, in front of me only. And Kaviraj Goswami says that Mahaprabhu doesn't even consciously do this. By his inconceivable potency, this automatically happens. So Krishna or Mahaprabhu, they're absorbed in their ecstasy of lovingly reciprocating with these devotees, with their devotion, with their prema, and automatically these things will just happen. So it's the love of the devotee and it's the intention of Krishna to reciprocate with that love of the devotee that manifests all these inconceivable pastimes, right, which are unimaginable, which are inconceivable to the ordinary mortal brains of materialistic people. So in this way, Krishna reciprocates with so many devotees while he is doing his pastimes in Vrindavan. So, and in other places like Mathura, Hastinapur, also Krishna manifests his opulence. So that's Krishna descends in this Yadu dynasty, in the Moon dynasty, and Moon dynasty is so glorious. So, and he performs all these pastimes to attract our attention. So somehow Janmashtami is coming up. We are all in that mood. So from Moon dynasty, I went to Krishna, who is the moon of the Moon dynasty, the real moon of the Moon dynasty, who is the spotless moon of the Moon dynasty. So it's 5:35. I'll conclude here. If you have any questions, you can ask. 5:30 was the time, right?
Thank you, bro. Athena has raised her hands. Athena, you can ask a question.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranams. Thank you so much for such a wonderful session. I apologize. I do want to check if you have time. I had a little bit of a long question. Is that okay?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you so much. Well, so those on the call know that I tend to have a few questions packed in. And so I just had I apologize. I've been away and just catching up on the Srimad Bhagavatam, where we are in the chapter. And to start, I had some questions or comments I'd love your feedback on and thoughts, and then it would stem into ending with some of Krishna's reciprocation, how you ended with some pastimes. when I was catching up on some of the verses, and even today, you were mentioning the lineage of how these great personalities had come about. And it just makes me think. And we read, and with the Vedic literature, there's so much information of how everything is done systematically. And so, for example, the rains bring the grains, and the man eats it, and then goes into the semen, and then impregnates. And it seems like it's just this, it's a very systematic way of things happening. And I find within the devotee or even the Vedic literature that we attribute almost everything just to karma. And it seems that there's no real hand of God in even choosing, for example, the parents and the time, place that a soul is born. But I would venture to say that a couple of things. One, even with all these great personalities showing up, it's not a matter of karma. It seems very much so that God is choosing where the soul is being placed at a certain time in a place. And is that not also the case with couldn't that also be the case with just normal jivas? It's not just some systematic and karmic aspect of just desires and karma. And if we were always part of God and always with him and pure, then he was always choosing when we were born and to what parents. And then just on this note too, it's interesting because when you read again, Vedic literature, where it's such a systematic approach to how a soul is implanted, we also see, and I guess we kind of intuitively know that there are the ways a soul is put into a body. You can see with Queen Kunti chanting the mantras, and that's how the Pandavas came about. But even here with Maharaj Nimi, where the demigods are churning his body, and then a son is born. I mean, that's not any eating grains and semen and being implanted. There was no, that process. And then how even Draupadi comes about with the yagyas. So in that sense too, it is God who is implanting the souls into these bodies without such a systematic approach. I'll pause there. If you could comment, I'd love to hear your thoughts, and then I can go into my other question. Thank you.
What I understood from these words that you just spoke was that there is a systematic approach, and the Lord is also personally placing people according to his desire in different places. Is that what you are trying to say?
Thank you. Yes, and it's more so getting your thoughts on the fact that it's not just such a systematic approach. God does have a hand in choosing exactly where a soul is placed. And we could maybe assume that that is the case when we see all these exalted personalities being placed in a certain lineage, that it's not just such a systematic approach. If you could comment on that. Thank you.
So, see, the Lord doesn't... see, ultimately he has independence. And he's a supremely independent person. So the scriptures say, Kartum akartum anyatha kartum samartha. He can do, he can undo, he can do something else also, according to his will. Okay. So as you say, there is a system of karma, law of karma, and there's a systematic approach or systematized approach, or a mechanical approach, or some laws are governing this whole thing. And if he wants, he can even change that laws also. He gives the stone a property to drown in water, okay, and he can make the stone float in water, okay. So he can make millions of planets float in the outer space like cotton swabs. Why can't he make a stone float in water? That's the argument that Prabhupada gives in this 9th canto only. So like that, Krishna has created this world in a systematic manner. At the same time, if he desires, for some purpose, if he wants to change the system or just modify the system, tweak the system, or give some special concession to somebody, or intervene personally into the life of somebody, he can do that. He can do anything. It's up to him. Or he can just forgive all the mistakes done by a person and then take him back to Godhead. or for a small mistake he may make a person undergo some kind of punishment to give a different lesson to common people. He can do anything. He has some purpose, right? Sometimes we may be able to understand, sometimes we may not be able to understand it, but he can do anything, right? So he creates systems and he can make exceptions also, up to him. These are my thoughts based on what you just mentioned. Does it make sense?
Yes, thank you so much. I guess it's just a personal comment then, that because these systems are laid out, I personally feel like devotees and sometimes even myself can lead towards that it's always the system that's working, the layout that he has, and it's not Krishna's hand or God doing, God can do anything, and he can intervene and he can change the whole system. And more and more I lean towards that, and it's God's hand in a lot of things versus just some system that he's laid out. Of course you can say karma and Krishna's hand, but my sense, and also just hearing from devotees, most people always default to karma, and it's not the other. So thank you. I agree with that, what you mentioned, that Krishna can do anything. And it's just a personal comment that I think maybe it's just, it could be just my mind, that sometimes I guess reading this, one just defaults that it's always a system. But I would say more and more as I get deep into spirituality, it's actually the opposite. It's God's hand mostly. And I don't always want to attribute everything to karma. But this goes into my next question, which is, taking a step back, because with the Vedic literature, it's so detailed, one can really nitpick and pick apart. That's tend to be my mind. And what I'm trying to say is, it's interesting, in an earlier lecture about a week and a half ago, Shamananda Prabhu had mentioned, for example, I think along the lines that Krishna will weep for us. And that was a very interesting concept for me, because we are told that Krishna is always, in bliss. In the spiritual world, he's just playing. Krishna's just playing. He almost has like no intervention or no like contact in one sense with the material world. And of course, Krishna's manifestation, I'm gonna say manifestation in the material world, but his involvement is through Vishnu, right? So Krishna's just playing in the spiritual world. And everything in the spiritual world, whether it be envy or lust, is what our conceptions of anarthas, those feelings are actually blissful in the spiritual world. And so this concept that Krishna is feeling sad or weeping for us seems to can't exist. Fundamentally, because we say Krishna is always playing and he's always happy. So, and then if we say, well, what are the three manifestations? Brahman, which is Brahmajyoti, which is all pervading and it has no reciprocation. There's kind of no personality. That's not the one reciprocating with us. And that's not the aspect of Krishna that's weeping. And then Paramatma is completely neutral. He has to stay completely neutral, because if he were to cry at any time, something bad happens, and he can't stay neutral. So who is weeping for us? And so that goes into my question of basically, these pastimes that Krishna has with his devotees, in one sense, and I apologize, this is, I'm just sharing how I guess I'm interpreting basically the Shastra, is that pastimes only happen with his pure devotees, and one must be either a gopi or whatever it is. His reciprocation with his devotees manifest in such pastimes. But I would also, I guess, argue that Krishna, all of us are having pastimes with Krishna. Our entire lives that are manifesting are part of it. But in one sense, his hand could be, it's not always so happy, or I apologize, now I'm losing a train of thought, but it's Krishna is reciprocating with us in the material world, even though he's blissfully happening, and it's not just always just play. And which aspect in one sense is feeling for us, if it is always in the spiritual world and he's always happy and playing, because it seems like weeping for us and feeling for us can't, from an ontological perspective, doesn't exist with the aspect of Krishna, which is always in the spiritual world and everything is blissful. It almost seems it's like he can't feel, like, can he really feel sadness? Can he really feel that force?
Yeah, Krishna is the supreme father of all living beings. So when you say that he's weeping for us, he's concerned about us. So naturally, any father would be concerned when his children are not happy with him. Okay, so when Krishna is, as you say, weeping or feeling sad about us, and coming every now and then here in the form of some incarnation, or sending some of his representatives, the acharyas, or giving us the scriptures to inspire us to come back to Godhead, that is his concern as a loving father. Okay, so it doesn't compromise on his overall personality or his quality of being the supreme enjoyer, who is supposed to be always happy. So Krishna is always happy, definitely, and he wants to share that happiness with us also. And he's quote unquote unhappy in the sense that uh, some of his children are rotting in the material existence, being deprived of this opportunity to enjoy with him eternally in his loving company. So yes, he is the supreme enjoyer. At the same time, he's the supreme well-wisher. Bhagavad Gita says, Krishna himself says in Bhagavad Gita, in the 5th chapter, last shloka, Bhoktaram yagna tapasam sarva loka maheshwaram suhurdam sarva bhutanam gnatva mam shanti mrichhati. He is the Bhokta, he is the supreme enjoyer. Sarvaloka Maheshwaram, he is also the supreme proprietor of everything. Finally, he is also the supreme well-wisher. So he is the supreme enjoyer, definitely, but he's also the supreme well-wisher. So he is eternally enjoying in his pastimes, and he also wants to expand that enjoyment by giving us an opportunity to enter into that arena of enjoyment. So there's no contradiction in his being an enjoyer, and at the same time he's being the supreme well-wisher, who is concerned about all of us. Okay, does it make sense?
Yes, thank you so much. And thank you so much for your wonderful session. Hare Krishna.
Yes, Gauranga Prabhu, should we conclude here?
Thank you. Thank you so much, Gauranga Darshan Prabhu. Thank you for everyone for their participation. Thank you, Tina, for the questions. Grantha Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Sri Prabhupada ki jai. This is Gauranga Darshan Prabhu ki jai. Thank you so much, Prabhu. Very grateful to you for accepting my notice.
Hari Hari. Dandavad.
Thank you, everyone. See you soon.